Hello and welcome to this Red Gaming Tech video, myself, Amata, where I'm here with some of the best from the autumn Steam sale. Now it is almost over. It ends on November the 27th, 10 AM Pacific. So it's the 26th of November now, but obviously it's 8 o'clock, well 20 to 9 technically, UK time. So I'm here with 10 recommendations from myself for under £10. So let's get started, shall we, with Sonic Mania. With this one, they achieved what felt like the impossible. Lo, from on high the heavens sang out, angelic voices could be heard, and Sonic Mania descended from the heavens, an actual good Sonic game. Didn't think it was possible, because I did like Sonic Generations. That was pretty good. It had its faults, but it was pretty good. But since then, they've kind of gone back to their old ways of just like, oh my god. Now, obviously, this wasn't actually developed by Sonic Team or Sega, so, you know, they don't get too much credit. This was developed by Christian Whitehead and Headcanon alongside Pagoda West Games. Now, obviously, this is sort of respin of a lot of classic levels, but it has a lot of unique content, and it's just a really, really fun Sonic game, which, you know, I appreciate as someone who grew up with these games. I didn't really play a Nintendo console. I mean, I went down my cousin's house a couple of times and played on the SNES. That doesn't really count. I grew up with the Master System and the Mega Drive, or the Genesis, whichever you prefer. But obviously Sonic has been a bit sorry for himself the last few years, which definitely makes me sad. But Sonic Mania, and we see it for a really good price here as well, 66% off, making it £5.09. And obviously it's £15, or £14.99 technically speaking, but close enough. Full price, and we also have the DLC reduced as well. So if you already own the main game, we have the Encore DLC for £1.99. That is also 50% off. So if you have your eye on this one, but perhaps the price is a little steep for you, or you just fancy just bathing in some really good nostalgia, this is definitely one to check out. So we're going to move from the bright and colourful to the sombre and grey with Inside. Now, long-time viewers may remember this game, because not only did I do a playthrough of it, a complete playthrough, I also nominated it for my Game of the Year list for that year. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, I nominate 5 games each year for Best Games of the Year, and Inside was one of them. And it is by the guys who did Limbo, developers by the name of Playdead, and you can definitely feel that when you play it. So the aesthetic is not the same as Limbo, but it definitely has similarities. It's definitely better looking than Limbo, definitely more graphically impressive, and actually has colour. I know, shocking revelation. But in all seriousness, it is a side-scrolling puzzle-solving platformer is not really the right word, but it is a side-scroller puzzle-solving and lots of storytelling in the background, which you guys know I love. I mean, I love my Dark Souls. It kind of goes without saying that background storytelling and storytelling without actually having words spoke at you in a cutscene is something that I really appreciate. When it's done well, it's really satisfying, and it's definitely done well here. The world is, you know, it's dark and twisted, and you know that there's some really messed up story going on behind it, and it is an experience that has to be had, in my personal opinion. Is a reason I nominated it for my Game of the Year list, and that was a really strong year. 2016 was a really strong year for games, so the fact that it made the cut, I think, should tell you everything you need to know. So what price do we actually see here for this? Well, we've got 60% off, making it £5.99, but we actually have a cracking bundle of both Limbo and Inside for 70% off, which would be $6.64 for them both. And to be honest, if you've not played Limbo or Inside, that is an absolute steal for them both. It is normally £21, £21.98 to be technical for both, so you are saving an absolute crap ton of money there, and both games are worth playing. There's a reason they've both got critical acclaim. Obviously, if you're not into your indie games, you know, your sort of understated games, your games where the story is just kind of, you know, in the background, just kind of there, oh, it's not really going to be for you. But if you are into that sort of thing, my friend, you are in luck, like I say. So, yeah, that is a solid option. So we're going to move from that to my next recommendation, which is Resident Evil HD. Now, long-running viewers will also know that I love the Resident Evil series. Don't speak to me about 6. Don't talk to me if you're going to talk to me about Resident Evil 6, okay? But in all seriousness, I love the Resident Evil series. Silly, schlocky, but just fun. And I love that sort of style of survival horror. Resident Evil and Silent Hill, both staples of my early console years with the PlayStation 1. So we've got the original Resident Evil for the PC here. And as much as I have a soft spot for the hilariously bad voice acting, this must be the dining room. Classic. The voices are all redone, and obviously the graphics have all been redone as well, and you actually have an option to go between the original tank controls and controls made for actual human beings. I mean, I'm sure you can tell which one I prefer out of the two. And I really hope that Resident Evil 2 Remake, when it comes out in like February or whatever, has that option as well, because, you know, you're satisfying the purists and people like myself who just kind of accepted the tank controls as something I have to put up with. Anyway, so I don't really need to introduce this game. It's Resident Evil. It's been remastered in HD. It's on the PC. It's really good. If you like your survival horror, then yeah, why the hell not, is what I say. The price we see here is £6.39, making it 60% off. Now we actually have a bit of a bundle that is actually above my budget here of £10, but it has a bunch of costume packs, and it's only £2.79 above, so you have got the Origins bundle. So you've got the game, obviously, and you've got Resident Evil 0 as well as a bunch of costume packs for Resident Evil 0. So you get 2 games and some costume packs for £12.79. So again, that is above the £10 limit, but you get 2 really classic survival horror games for that. So not bad, to be honest. So let's move from the sort of slightly tongue-in-cheek bombastic horror to more deep and psychological horror with Soma. Now this is a game I did another playthrough of. What can I say? I've got a soft spot for horror games, especially the psychological ones. As much as I love Resident Evil, if I had to choose between that series and Silent Hill, I would choose Silent Hill any day of the week, because I just love that slow build, psychological, more Japanese style of horror. When it comes to films and games, to be honest, that's the style that I prefer. And Soma is just brilliant, to be honest with you. It is by the guys who did Amnesia, the Dark Descent frictional games, and I was really excited to see what else they had in store for us. Now, I will say the story is the real strong point of Soma. The lore and the story and the way it's told is just fantastic. I don't want to say too much because honestly, it is just really impactful. It genuinely makes you think. It's kind of disturbing in a way that only that kind of story can be. The gameplay, in a way, kind of lets it down, because the sort of typical monster mechanics of a frictional game where, you know, you have to hide from the monsters and looking at them too long kind of drives you crazy and all that sort of stuff, it kind of gets in the way a little bit. I mean, not enough to matter, and it is still a scary game. There's some genuinely frightening moments, but as much as I love horror and I do enjoy this as a horror game, I would recommend it more as a story experience, to be honest. I mean, there's a reason there's a story only mode, shall I say, for this game, because that is by far its strong point, and it is definitely one to play. It is just brilliant, to be honest with you. I don't want to say any specifics at all in case you haven't played it or seen it or whatever, because it's just good. Anyway, I'm running a little long here and not even halfway through, so I'm going to hurry up a little bit. We're 80% off, making it £4.59, and we've got our next one up now, which is Final Fantasy VIII. Doesn't really need any introduction here. This is the one with Squall or Leon, depending on which one you prefer. It's cheap. It's £4.99, 50% off. I don't really think I need to talk too much about it. It's Final Fantasy VIII, arguably one of the best Final Fantasy games ever made. And we're moving on from that to a smaller indie game by the name of Rowena. This game almost almost made my list for 2017 because it is just brilliant. It is developed by Raycon Games and published by Devolver Digital. I mean, the fact that Devolver was publishing it immediately got me picked up, like, go on. But it is sort of top-down, twin-stick shooter, very violent, very cyberpunk, and just fun. And it helps that the music is awesome, and the story is pretty damn cool. Now, we've got 2 versions of this game, both coming under £10. We've got the game for £5.99 at 60% off, or we have the game plus soundtrack, which is £8.06. So I just mentioned how good the soundtrack is. Yeah, I mean, I already own the game, so I think I'm going to buy the soundtrack, which is also reduced, £2.07. I think I'm going to treat myself to that because the soundtrack is good. But we're going to move on to our next game now because, as I said, we are running a touch long, and we're going to go over to Rise of the Tomb Raider. Again, a game that does not need much introduction. It is £7.99, making it £8, sorry, £8? 80% off, should I say. And we have a season pass as well with all the DLC for £4.99, so perhaps you already own the game, but you wanted to get the DLC for cheap, you can do. And the DLC is also individually priced as well, £1.74 each. So we're going to move on to yet another known with Far Cry 4. Again, a game that does not really need much introduction. Arguably one of the best villains in the Far Cry series. I love Pagan Min. He is just hilarious. Like that opening section of Far Cry 4 is just great. Honestly, I love him as a villain too much probably, and it's just a good game. I mean, it has its issues, to be sure. I mean, the choices you make between the 2 characters, those of you who have played the game know what I mean. It's like, it's kind of a choice between like bad option A and bad option B, but the game itself is still fun. It's still Far Cry, and it's there. You shoot stuff in the face and you can set tigers on people. What more do I need to say? And it's 75% off, making it £6.49. Not too shabby at all. So we're going to move on to Fallout New Vegas. Now this one, I just want you to remind everyone that this game exists, because we've been hearing a lot about Fallout 76 lately, and how it's not so hot in a lot of ways. And I'm just like, I'm not hugely invested in the Fallout series myself. I mean, I've played it, sure, but it's not one I've got like hugely into. But, New Vegas is like the best one. Even I know that much. And it's insanely cheap. 67% off, £2.63. So if perhaps you missed this one, or you're new to Fallout and Fallout 76 has just not been what you wanted, or whatever, this is a good one. This is a good Fallout game, guys. And it's £2.63, 67% off. And the Ultimate version, which comes with a bunch of extra stuff, is also 50% off, making it £7.49. So instead of buying Fallout 76, buy this instead. That's my personal advice to you. We are going to finish things up now with Wolfenstein, the New Order. Wolfenstein, such a good game. I mean, any game where you can dual wield shotguns, I'm just like, sign me up, say no more. This game is just full out, silly, bombastic, old school shooter fun. Nazis on the moon, all sorts of goodness. It's honestly really, really good. Great, fun story, fun gameplay. Again, dual wield shotguns. You run around, you get armor, you explore. You die quite quickly, but not as quickly as in the second one. And it's just a good game. It's really, really good. It made a lot of people's Game of the Year list, and rightfully so. It was surprisingly good, because when it was being seen in previews, they showed a really poor section of the game that made it look completely not what it was. And what it is, again, is just a fun, bombastic, completely not serious, old school shooter about Nazis. What more do you want from not only a first-person shooter, but from a Wolfenstein game? And we've got a bit of a deal here. We've got the New Order, which is £4.94, 67% off. And we also have a double pack where you get Wolfenstein the New Order and Wolfenstein the Old Blood, which is kind of like an expand-alone, for £6.59. 67% off also. So you get 2 games for under £7. Not too shabby. Now, there are literally thousands of games on sale. I could not say this is a definitive list of the 10 best. It's 10 under 10 that caught my eye. And I would heartily recommend each and every one of these games. But please, hit me up with your recommendations in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye bye.